erase all of these broken dreams in flight, and we'll fly. Oh, we'll fly.
What's going on, guys? It's Swimzyy here, and welcome back to a brand new Warframe video. Now, in this video, we are going to be looking at the pretty decent Incarnon Kunai. Now, obviously, the standard mode for the Kunai is just throwing knives, but the Incarnon form actually has some perks. Now, you end up shooting out 3 knives, guaranteed, and those knives actually home in on the heads of enemies, so it's very useful. So if you did like this video, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing, as everything helps me out. And I'm currently on my way to hit 500 subscribers. Now, I would like to hit this before the end of the year, and with your support, we can definitely make that happen. Thank you for the continued support on my videos. It really does mean a lot to me, seeing all of your reactions to my videos. Let me know anything I can improve on, anything you want to see in future videos, either Warframe, Minecraft, Terraria, or any other game. Let me know down below, and let's get into the build. Alright, so this is the standard Kunai. Now, you can put the Incarnon Genesis on the MK1 Kunai or the normal Kunai. Unfortunately, there is no Kunai Prime, no Prisma Kunai, no Kunai Vandal, no Kunai Wraith, just the good old-fashioned Kunai. So, this is pretty much the best weapon you can put the Genesis on. And with this weapon, I'm only going to be testing out one build. Normally, I do multiple builds for secondaries and primary weapons, but this just isn't that good of a weapon to have a second build. So this is the best build I could have possibly built for you guys. I hope you guys do enjoy today's video. But anyway, we have Galvanized Diffusion, plus 110 multi-shot on kill, plus 30% multi-shot for 20 seconds, stacks up to 4 times. Then we have Galvanized Crosshairs, on headshot, plus 120 critical chance when aiming for 12 seconds, on headshot kill, plus 40% critical chance when aiming for 12 seconds, stacks up to 5 times. Now, we are using Galvanized Crosshairs because the Incarnon form actually allows you to auto-aim lock to the head. So, on headshot, plus critical chance, it's a no-brainer really. Then we have Creeping Bullseye, plus 200% critical chance, negative 20% fire rate, Pistol Pestilence, plus 60% Toxin, plus 60% status chance. We have a Riven. This Riven is 129.5 critical damage and plus 305.3% damage. Then we have Frostbite, plus 60% cold, plus 60% status. Galvanized Shot, plus 80% status chance on kill, plus 40% direct damage per status type affecting the target for 14 seconds. It also stacks up to 3 times. And last but not least, we have Primed Target Cracker, plus 100% critical damage. Now on the right hand side for the Arcane, we are using R5 Secondary Merciless, on kill, plus 30% damage for 4 seconds, stacks up to 12 times, plus 30% reload speed. Now you can go with Secondary Deadhead, but I would rather the Secondary Merciless, just so every time we get a kill, it increases the damage over on Precision Headshot Kill, because sometimes the throwing knives don't actually hit the head, it just auto locks to the head. So it's guaranteed to hit the enemy, but sometimes it doesn't hit the head. So your best bet is Secondary Merciless. On the left hand side, the stats, we have critical chance 144%, critical multiplier 9.9 times, status 24%, dealing slash and viral for 2,172 total damage. Now let's head on over to Cavallero and look at the Incarnon choices. We are at Cavallero, and he evolves your Incarnon weapons as always. And let's go all the way down to the Kunai. So with this Kunai, it actually has 3 Former on it, so it's got a decent amount of Former. If I didn't have that Riven, it would probably have 5 Former, so you can really either go for a very Former heavy build, or you can just go with a standard build for new player friendlies. Honestly, this weapon isn't as good as it could have been. The Despair is definitely better. But, you know what? Might as well make it work. Now, Evolution 1. Play a solo mission with this weapon equipped, and you will gain the Incarnon form. Evolution 2. Get 100 kills with the Incarnon form, and you get the choice between these choices. Swift Conclusion. Increase damage by 70. Increases damage by 200% if enemy has less than half health. Or Sage's Resolve. Increases damage by 80 with channeled ability active plus 100% multi-shot. Now I chose Swift Conclusion, so if the enemy is below half health, then we get that 200% increase in damage. Moving on to Evolution 3, you have 3 choices. Swift Deliverance plus 50% projectile speed. Extended Volley increases magazine capacity by 10. Or Rapid Reinforcement plus 50% reload speed. You could choose either one of these, but I decided to go with Extended Volley for that extra magazine capacity. Finally, with Evolution 4, you have 3 choices. Death Trap Trigger, on equipped from primary, increases critical chance by 40%, increases critical damage multiplier by 1.4 times for 4 seconds. Accelerating Volley, on firing, plus 20% fire rate for 0.5 seconds, stacks up to 5 times. Or Survivor's Edge, increases critical chance and status chance by 12%. Now, this Survivor's Edge seems like it's a good idea, but if you actually use Death Trap Trigger, it makes it so much better, but you have to switch from your primary weapon. So, in order for this to proc, you actually need a primary weapon to be able to switch back and forth. This is what I'm going to be using to do the most amount of damage, so let's head on over to the Simulacrum. So, we are in the Simulacrum, and I'm going to be using Mirage today for these tests. Now, the first test, I'm going to use just the weapon, no abilities. And in the second test, I will use all of Mirage's abilities, just so you see the minimum and maximum amount of damage this weapon can deal. Now, we're versing 20 Corrupted Heavy Gunners, level 165 with the Steel Path modifier on. And, not gonna lie, this weapon is pretty decent, but it is slow to start up with. So, headshots build up that Incarnon gauge. As you can see, we're dealing no damage whatsoever. But those galvanized mods will kick in and will end up doing a lot more damage overall. Once we get some kills, that secondary Merciless will also proc and allow us to do even more damage. So as you can see, it's just a standard throwing knife. Nothing really special there. As you can see, it's also taking a very long time. But hopefully, it actually, speeds up a little bit. As you can see, the slash is now building up a lot faster. So the more kills you get with this galvanized setup, the quicker you're going to actually kill enemies. You just need to make sure that slash ends up proccing. That's the only problem. Now, as you can see, this kunai isn't doing a lot of damage. So we're just going to get straight into the Incarnon form. If I throw this here, it automatically goes into the enemy. So, anywhere close to an enemy, and it will actually deal a lot of damage. Now, I'm going to quickly get a primary weapon, and I'm going to show you how Death Trap Trigger actually buffs this weapon. So, let's just say I get the Bursten Prime. I switch from the Bursten to the Kunai, and now we are getting some orange and red crits. So you have to keep switching in between, which does suck, but you'll deal a lot more damage and kill these enemies faster. There we go. So you just have to keep switching in between. And there we go. Getting a lot more damage. Now if we activate the Incarnon form, switch between, now it's dealing some good damage. Pretty much two-shotting these enemies. One-shotting even. So, yeah, to be able to use this weapon effectively, you do need to use Death Trap Trigger. So, involving using your primary as a switch, then you'll be able to deal a ton of damage. So, now I'm going to spawn these enemies again, and I'm also going to use all of Mirage's abilities, just so you can see how this weapon does with the maximum amount of damage you can deal. So, normal, without using Death Trap Trigger. As you can see, with Mirage, it's a no-brainer. It's very easy to use. Then switching, one tapping. So yeah, it's very good. Incarnon form is a one tap, even without switching from death trap trigger. But if we switch, you can now see a ton of damage being dealt. So yeah, the biggest problem with this weapon is always constantly switching. But if you're fine with that type of playstyle, then this weapon ends up slapping. Alright, now let's get into a standard Steel Path survival, and I'm going to show you how this weapon works in a standard mission. Alright, so we're in Steel Path survival in the Void. Pretty sure the mission's called Mott. And level 140 to 145. We're using Harrow today, just for some testing purposes. Getting those headshots, guaranteed. Also staying alive, very helpful. Activating the Incarnon, switching back and forth. As you can see, good damage overall. Let's just do that again, first ability. So yeah, overall the weapon is decent if you have a decent ribbon. And if you are willing to switch between primary and secondary weapons. This weapon does have a bit of a gimmick. If you're fine with using this gimmick, then this weapon will actually shred. But yeah, it's not the best by far. What can you expect by a single throwing, single target kunai type weapon? Literally, this is the best it can be. I'm so glad they added Death Trap Trigger, because if they didn't, then this weapon would be a massive L. But I'm glad they did add it, because the kunai needed some love, let's be real. Get some overshield. So yeah, switching back and forth is a bit of a pain in the ass, but once you get used to it, you can actually deal a lot of damage. Wow, you can actually activate the Incarnon form when you're using an ability. That's pretty good. So yeah, overall guys, this weapon is probably a B tier. It's not terrible, but it definitely isn't the best. So yeah guys, this isn't the best weapon by far. There are definitely better alternatives like the Incarnon Despair. I have a video on my channel on the Incarnon Despair if you would like to check it out. But yeah, that weapon with the carpet bombing technique is definitely better than this, but only by a little bit. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Now, I do mainly Warframe content, but I've also been branching out with Minecraft, Terraria, and 2 different types of horror games. So if you do enjoy my content or just want to leave a like and support me, then please subscribe. It's easy and it always helps me out. I'm close to 500 subscribers, so I'd really appreciate if you could subscribe. If you don't want to, that's alright. Thank you all so much for watching. It's been Swim, guys. Later.
Fearless.